Bears training camp winners and losers. The pads go on tomorrow, so I figured it's a perfect time to take a look at some players who have stood out and some players who haven't stood out quite as much on today's show. We'll also take a look at today's practice notes in the video. But first, let's finish it. It's been a battle in the month of July. Cowboys Report had a big push over the weekend. It's the final day of the month. Which channel will get more new subscribers in the month of July? We're 8 subs behind the Cowboys Report. I know at least 9 of you guys have not subscribed to the channel. If you want daily Chicago Bears news, rumors, and other content, subscribe right now. I'm Harrison Graham. Before we take a look at some of those Bears training camp winners and losers so far, let's take a look at today's practice notes on Monday. Justin Fields did throw a couple of interceptions. One was on kind of a 2-minute drill, Hail Mary chunk and double coverage. I'd love to hear more context on that from Luke Getsy or Fields himself. And then another one, he threw one a little bit late over the middle that got jumped by Tyrique Stevenson. It was good to see Stevenson bounce back. Sounds like other than that, it was a pretty good day of practice according to reporters on the ground, but did throw a couple of picks. Defense wins the day. I think that was pretty clear by all accounts for those who were at training camp today. And I would say this is the first practice out of 5 where the defense had the clear advantage over the offense. So don't freak out. Offense has still had a very strong start to camp, and you want the defense to have good days as well because you don't want to have one of the worst defenses in football again. We saw how that worked out well or unwell last year. Tyler Scott, Chase Claypool, they continue to stand out. Strong days from the rookie in Scott and for Claypool as well. UDFA Braylon Trahan, keep an eye on this kid. 2 picks today playing that safety position. Could he be a UDFA that makes the roster? 6 undrafted free agents made the team last year. I don't think we're touching 6, but 1 or 2, Trahan may be a player to monitor. And then Tyrique Stevenson, I mentioned it. He had the pick off of Justin Fields. He bounced back after a slow start to training camp, so that was very, very nice to see. And I mentioned it in the beginning of this video. The first padded practices tomorrow. It was supposed to be Wednesday, but I guess Eberflus and company feel good about where the Bears are 5 days in. So they're going to throw the pads on tomorrow, which is why we're going to take a look at some camp winners and losers up to this point today. Let's start with winners. Justin Fields, the quarterback. He's doing what you want him to do up to this point in time at training camp. Now, obviously, when the pads go on, there's more evaluations that happen, especially in the trenches. That, of course, impacts the quarterback. But Justin Fields, up to this point in time, is doing what I wanted him to do. I didn't ask him to dominate, but I asked him in the offense to have more good days than bad, and I would say that has definitely been the case. He looks to be in control. He's taking command. His teammates are raving about what he's doing out there. I'm excited about what's happening with Fields and with the offense. Today wasn't his best practice by all accounts. It didn't sound like a bad practice, but he did throw a couple of picks, so take that with a grain of salt. But overall, he's been very, very good up to this point. And I would say a big reason why he's been very good is his new best friend, DJ Moore, the wide receiver who the Bears traded in that trade for the number 1 overall pick. This is the best player on this football team. DJ Moore is the MVP of the Chicago Bears right now. He is the best player on the team. And look, on paper, that was probably true, or at least close to true. And now that a lot of practices are in the books, it's definitely true as well. Like, when you trade for DJ Moore and you're a young rebuilding team, obviously a guy like that's going to have a chance to come in and be your best player, but that's actually playing out on the field. And him and Justin Fields they're just on the same page. If you watch them on NFL Network with Kyle Brandt, they just feed off each other so well. They get along off the field, get along on the field. Fields is looking his way an awful lot, and that's very, very exciting because DJ Moore is a true number 1 receiver, something the Bears have not had in a number of years. So I'm excited about that. He's going to change this team. Like, DJ Moore will change the direction of this offense, which will change the wins and losses totals for this football team. He has high hopes. He wants to be in the playoffs and be on a contending team. Will that happen this year? I think there's a chance this team could make the playoffs, and if they do, Justin Fields to DJ Moore is going to be a big reason why. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just counting how much money that I've saved in the month of July, thanks to our good friends over at Rocket money. What they're going to help you do is cancel any unnecessary subscriptions that you may have, monitor your spending, and you can even lower your bills as well, depending on what your insurance is. They'll find competitors' prices, and you might find out that there's a better deal out there. Most people think that they're spending $80 per month on subscriptions, but in reality, you're probably spending $200, if not more, because you sign up for a lot of these things, HBO, Netflix, all this stuff, and it's fun, but you kind of lose track of how much you're spending. Rocket Money helps you monitor all of that, and if you want to cancel any of those subscriptions, all you got to do is click a specific one, click cancel. They're going to take care of it for you or show you the easiest way to cancel that subscription. They can even negotiate to lower some of your bills for you. How great of a deal is that? We all need to save money nowadays. Obviously, in the summer, your electric bills go up. You got to save and cut back elsewhere. Rocket Money is just an overall great app, too, if you're just trying to keep on top of your finances, even if you're not trying to cancel subscriptions, if you like everything, but just kind of keep a day-to-day, month-to-month kind of notice on, okay, I spent this much this month on that, this much on that. Some banking apps are okay at that. Rocket Money, though, is really, really good. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Save up to hundreds of dollars per month by using their services. Download the app today by going to that link. It's RocketMoney.com/Bears now. I saved over $150 last month. You can too. It's RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Link in the comments and in the description today. Okay, Terell Smith. Remember the name, Terell Smith. We got to talk about this kid a whole lot more because the rookie out of Minnesota at cornerback, he's starting to turn heads. He's getting first-team reps. Now, a couple of practices ago, he did a walkthrough practice or part of practice with the ones, and people were like, ooh, does that mean something? Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator, shot it down like, oh, don't read too much into that. We're getting everybody reps right now. Well, today, which was a more intense practice, he's out there again getting some first-team reps. Him and Tyrique Stevenson kind of split there. Terell Smith, folks, this might be a guy that's got a chance to play as a rookie, which as a fifth-round pick, you kind of thought, okay, he'll be a backup. He'll play some special teams. But I remember when they picked him, intriguing athleticism. He's long. He was healthy this past year. That was his main problem in college. He had a lot of injuries, but in 2022 for the Golden Gophers, he stayed healthy, and he's making plays on the football, man. Like, Terell Smith is someone the Bears like. He's someone that I think can play at least a little bit right away. If it's between these two, I would still lean Tyrique Stevenson, but I wouldn't rule out Terell Smith. There's something about this kid, and we're going to start talking about him a lot more. If you had to pick one to be the second outside corner of Jalen Johnson, who starts? If you think it's Tyrique Stevenson, type 29, his jersey number. If you think it's Terell Smith, type 32. I'm going to type my 29, but so far, Terell Smith, he looks like he's got something to say about that. Chase Claypool's next up here, and obviously it's a big camp for Claypool. We discussed last week. He admitted to reporters, look, this is the biggest year of my life. And I appreciated him saying that, knowing what's at stake after underperforming after the trade last year at the deadline. He seems like a man who's on a mission. Like, I think he's just going out there and doing what he needs to do, making plays. The offense struggled a bit today, especially in the 2-minute drill, but he had 2 catches in that 2-minute drill before things stalled out. So he's been a name that's consistently been brought up just about every single day, making plays, going up against Jalen Johnson a lot today, held his own. So I'm excited to see what Claypool does in 2023. He's entering a contract year. He knows he's got to deliver if he wants to get paid by the Bears or someone else. So I think so far he's doing his part. Obviously, we won't fully judge any of these guys until games actually get here, but Chase Claypool seems like he understands what's at stake. Kmet, listen, when you sign a nice lucrative contract extension, you're a winner. I mean, when $50 million go into your pockets, that's a good day at the office, right? 4 years, $50 million for Kmet, 12.5 per year, 32.5 guaranteed. That's the key, of course. I mean, regardless of what happens, Kmet now has $32.5 million coming his way. So that makes him a winner, and that happened on the first day of training camp, so wanted to include that. As far as on the field goes, by all accounts, he looks like the player we saw last year. Hopefully he ends up even being more. But you get a new deal, you're a camp winner, especially when other players are eligible for extensions, and you're the only one who's gotten one. Jalen Johnson, Darnell Mooney, They haven't gotten one. Cole Kmet did. Ryan Pohl sees a lot in you, kid. So big win for him. Obviously now, like he said, it's on to focusing about on the field. Doesn't have to worry about the contract stuff anymore. Some other camp winners I just wanted to briefly hit. Tyler Scott. I didn't have him in my top 5 because he's had a few drops. That was kind of the one thing coming out of Cincinnati is he has a slight drop problem. So we'll keep an eye on that. But he's consistently getting open. The route running's excellent, so I'm excited about him. DeMarcus Walker, he's bringing an edge, some energy to this defensive line. I think he's going to be a good player. Javon Dexter, multiple players on Monday, including Justin Jones, pointed out Dexter as someone who's standing out. We haven't talked about him a ton, but he's a player to watch when the pads go on starting tomorrow. Both linebackers that you added in free agency, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, they've each had interceptions in camp, so I think that pairing is going to be really good at the linebacker position. Let's go to camp losers so far, and look, let me just say this as a disclaimer for both winners and losers. We're 5 practices in. Pads haven't even gone on yet, so don't put a crazy amount of stock into either side of this category. Roschon Johnson, look, he's just a little behind the other backs right now. That's the best way I would put it. At least when it comes to Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman. Roschon had a drop. He had a fumble one day, I believe. So you're hoping that ends up getting cleaned up. But I'm not too concerned there. I still think he's got really big potential. And I think if any of these backs long-term is a true 3-down back, it's probably him with his ability to blitz, protect, and catch the football. Tyrique Stevenson is also a Bears training camp loser. Now, this is kind of a good news, bad news situation for Tyrique Stevenson. Good news, he just had his best practice here on Monday. That's the good news. Picked off Justin Fields, was stickier in coverage. That's a positive. Bad news, early on, had his struggles, which led to him splitting some reps the last few practices with Terell Smith. But the good news is his most recent practice was his best practice. So he's learning. He's getting better. Going up against DJ Moore, iron sharpens iron. I think he's a player. You know, when you think pads go on, you think guys in the trenches. But Tyrique Stevenson, a lot of his skill set is being physical at the line of scrimmage, pressing, using his hands. I think with the pads going on, that's a player to watch to see if he's able to use that to his advantage with some of these receivers. So as things get more physical, that could be in his favor. So starting tomorrow, maybe things continue to trend up like they did on Monday. Now, which player are you most excited to watch with the pads going on starting on Tuesday? I think if I had to pick one, I would go Darnell Wright, the rookie right tackle, top 10 pick. You're hoping he's able to be really good over there. If you had to pick one player, though, let me know who it is. One more I'll throw at you, Javon Dexter. I really want to see his physicality. Sticking with the cornerback position, Kindle Vildor. Look, I haven't really heard much about Vildor, and usually when you don't hear much about a guy, that's usually a good thing over a bad thing. But talking about Tyrique Stevenson losing some first-team reps, he wasn't losing them to Kindle Vildor. He was losing them to Terell Smith. So that tells me Vildor is what, CB5 right now behind Jalen Johnson, Tyrique Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Terell Smith. You also have Josh Blackwell and Jalen Jones, 2 players the Bears like. Greg Stroman's had moments in camp. Vildor's not getting starter reps at all, at least from what it sounds like with reporters who are there. Shout out to all those who are. I take that for what it's worth. We've talked about him as a potential surprise cut candidate. I would not be surprised if the Bears moved on from Vildor before week 1. Nate Davis. Now, I don't want to come across as Nate Davis sucks. It's a bad contract for Ryan Poles. There's just a couple, kind of things that have been floating out there from those at practice that just makes me pause a little bit. Like today, for example, Zach Pearson, credit to him with the note here. He said Justin Jones with some really good reps in one-on-ones got the best of Nate Davis. And you're like, okay, that's a little breadcrumb, right? Not a huge deal. Like you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But another thing that has stood out to me when you look at this offensive line is on a practice last week, I think it was Saturday, it might have been Friday, Lucas Patrick and Jatiri Carter worked in at right guard, got some reps, and Nate Davis checked out. Is that just keeping guys fresh because you have questions in the depth? Maybe. Or maybe the Bears are challenging Nate Davis a little bit because they don't love what they've seen so far. Now, especially with offensive linemen, it's hard to know how these guys look without pads. They can only do so much, and I get that. And I want to give Nate Davis the benefit of the doubt. That's why I said don't overreact to winners or losers so far. But it's just something to monitor, I think. It's something to be like, okay, let's give it another week. Let's see how things look because they seemed to like Tyrique Carter a little bit. He was getting first-team reps in the spring. He's getting a few now. So, just made me pause a little bit. Just something to keep in mind. Are you concerned about Nate Davis? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I would say no at this point if I had to say yes or no. But if I was scaling at 1 to 10, I'd give it like a 4 on the scale of 1 to 10. I'm mildly concerned. Let's see, though. Let's see what happens when the pads go on. Chase Allen, our next Bears training camp loser. And the reason I mentioned Chase Allen is that third tight end spot is up for grabs. And what you don't want to be doing is fumbling when you're not even getting hit yet, right? Can't be fumbling when the pads aren't even on yet. He got peanut punched by, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Jalen Johnson or I think it was Brisker, actually. I can't remember. On Saturday, that's not great for Chase Allen. You look at the tight end depth chart right now. After Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan, and I've made this point probably dozens of times this offseason, you don't have a great situation. Jake Tonjes, I just re-jumped him over Chase Allen. I think, being on the 53 for parts of last year, that gives him an edge right now. Allen fumbling doesn't help. You have Steven Carlson. You have Jared Pinkney, who we broke down that signing earlier today. Go check it out after this video if you haven't already. I don't love the tight end depth. I love the 1-2 punch. I think it's a great 1-2 punch. Kmet and Tonyan solid. And by the way, I could have mentioned Tonyan as a training camp winner. He's been pretty damn good so far. But the depth in general, like if one of those guys get hurt out of Kmet and Tonyan, it's like a big drop-off. It really is. So that's something, as a fan, you guys should keep in mind because I think they should add a third tight end that at least gives you some experience on this football team. So just to recap, some camp winners and losers. Winners, Justin Fields, DJ Moore. That combination should be lethal. Terell Smith, the rookie, getting some first-team reps. Chase Claypool, Cole Kmet. Shout out Kmet with the new contract extension. Some early camp losers, Roschon Johnson, Tyrique Stevenson, although, again, Stevenson had his best day today. Kindle Vildor, haven't heard a ton, so not sure where he sits in the pecking order. Nate Davis and Chase Allen. Early camp winners and losers, and really, in a lot of ways, camp starts tomorrow. It's like been this ramp-up period. Pads go on tomorrow. I cannot wait. Football is back. There's a game on Thursday night. The Jets and the Browns play. Don't tell my coworker Matthew Peterson, but football is back. That's an inside joke that none of you guys understand. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications. We got Bears Live tomorrow. Lots more to come here on the channel.